Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nope, We're Not Monogamous. I'm your relationship coach, Alicia, and today we're diving into the world of non-monogamous dating, not just the dreamy, romantic side of it, but the real stuff like setting standards and asking tough questions and navigating your own healing after toxic relationships. We've all heard the myths. You'll never fully heal, or you'll always carry those scars. But what if I told you those are just that, myths? Healing and growth are not only possible, they're powerful, and reclaiming your self-worth after toxic experiences is completely within reach. Healing and growth are not only possible, they're powerful. Reclaiming your self-worth after toxic experiences is within reach, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can rebuild and empower yourself, especially within the context of non-monogamous dating. So today I'm joined by my friend Shannon Whaley, an anti-hustle business coach who lives by the beach in Italy with her two bilingual cats, Kevin and Nicolo. I think I said it right. Shannon's been coaching since 2015, helping coaches and service providers build sustainable online businesses without burning out. And we've worked together in various ways. She's been my business coach, and I'm currently supporting her as she navigates her non-monogamy journey after coming out 2 years ago. And so in this episode today, Shannon's going to open up about the realities of non-monogamous dating and the role of a BDSM checklist in setting clear boundaries and fostering trust. So we're going to talk about how practical tools can help you reclaim your power and create meaningful and healthy connections. So if you're ready for an honest conversation about healing and growth and the unexpected ways BDSM can support your journey, stay tuned. This is an episode you don't want to miss. Please, please, please don't forget to rate and review the podcast if you love these conversations. It really helps us reach more people and keeps the dialogue open. Super important. I will love you forever. Enjoy. Okay, I want to welcome you to Nope, We're Not Monogamous, the podcast where we talk about not monogamy. Actually, we talk about monogamy quite a bit too. Just not in the way you would expect. Shannon, I'm so happy you're here.
Me too. I've wanted to be on this podcast for a long time, so I guess I should have just asked earlier, but
I know. I was like, it never even crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, you should come on.
Really? I thought you'd never ask. Yeah,
I do that all the time. All the time. People will like, I've had a couple of times where I've hooked up with people and I'm like, wow, I had no idea you were into me. And they're like, I've been flirting with you for months. I'm like, I don't take it personally.
I don't know. I don't know.
Until you're real direct.
Total. I don't know if they're into me until we're making out. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, great.
Oh, this is a thing.
Right. Or unless they're like, I'm really attracted to you. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh. I'm like, I just figure that's just your personality, this thing where you're flirting with me.
Yeah. I don't have subtle. I just need you to just tell me.
Ambiguity makes me super anxious.
Yes. And then awkward.
Uh-huh.
You're like, yeah.
But I mean, come on, we're cute when we're awkward.
I mean,
that might be part of the charm.
100%.
If you're not into this awkward, then this isn't gonna work.
If you can't handle the awkward, you don't get all the other stuff. You don't deserve me at my performance.
Exactly. Okay, so here's what I want to know. Well, here's what I already know, but I would like you to share, if you want, for the people listening, since we have a topic of non-monogamy, I'm curious what non-monogamy means for you or looks like for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm still figuring that out myself.
Aren't we?
So, yeah, I separated from my husband 2 years ago and was like, I am never doing this again. I'm never having a monogamous relationship again. And I had tried to be non-monogamous back in 2013, and I was dating multiple people and then got like roped into a monogamous relationship. And I was like, fine. And then another one. And so now I am figuring out what that means. And like, I mean, I came out of the closet as bi when I was 17 and didn't know about different like relationship anarchy, and I didn't know any of these things. I just like didn't have access, and I wasn't in the community, and it was like lesbian, bi, gay. Like there weren't like all of these other like demisexual and da 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 da.
We're
Um,
learning so much.
oh my goodness. I'm a queer elder who has so much to learn.
Right. Right.
And so so I don't know, like I'm learning about all of these terms, and like am I into BDSM or am I more into kink, and like what does that look like, and what does poly look like versus ENM or relationship anarchy. So I don't know, and 2 years still, and it's not it's not any clearer. I feel like it's eventually hopefully going to get there. I have an idea of what I want it to look like.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and then the more that I date and things unravel or end, right? Like it just gives me more clarity of like, don't want that, definitely want this, want more of this. So I'm just like putting one foot in front of the other at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I excuse me. I love that I get to catch you at this stage because so many of the people I talk to are, like were are in a relationship where they were monogamous and then opened up,
Mm-hmm.
or we're non-monogamous but are in like committed like nesting partnerships, or some version of that, versus figuring it out while dating, while meeting people. And I think the challenge and the fun thing that I'm loving watching you do is go, okay, I have a really solid idea of what I want, and so the people I date are gonna have to meet that.
Yes. Yes. And like in this process too is just like, so there's like this whole coming out of, and also like, I identified as bi, and then I was like, well, that doesn't feel like inclusive of, who I'm attracted to, or if it was like a non-binary person, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not bi anymore. Like, so now there's new terms, and right. So like I'm coming out as like queer. Great. I'm coming out as non-monogamous. Great. And so, yeah, like this learning curve is fucking bananas.
Uh-huh.
But also like healing from a toxic marriage, and not just like one, but like multiple marriages and relationships, right? Where I was not setting or holding boundaries. Like I was self-abandoning. I didn't have any fucking standards. Like I didn't, of course I had some standards, but like the things that are actually important to me that I like drew a line on now,
Yeah.
what like weren't, I was like, whatever. They like me. I like them enough. Like, sure, like, let's do this. And then all of a sudden I'm in a relationship for 4 years. I'm like, what the fuck is
All of a
happening?
sudden my heart is invested in this thing that actually wasn't right
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Like that sunk cost. And I'm like, well, maybe we can
Uh-huh.
figure it out. Right. And it's just like over and over and over again. So I'm really committed to, my healing process and working through attachment stuff, and then also layering on, hold on, there's a cat trying to get through. Also layering, of course there is, layering on the non-monogamy piece, which
Uh-huh.
it's tired.
It's a whole bunch.
I was gonna say, like, it's fun. Like, there's moments where it's fun and like it's interesting. But what I will say is, like, my number one value is freedom, and it always
Uh-huh.
has been. And so the fact that I was trying to be in monogamous relationships for my entire life, it's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I wish that when I was, in 2013, I wish that I would have had this podcast, right? Like that, there were just like the resources didn't really exist back then. It was like part of the kink community that like wasn't, it was those people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
2013, that's when I got divorced and was like, I'm not going to be monogamous again. And had didn't know anybody who wasn't monogamous. And I read The Ethical Slut. There was The Ethical Slut, and there was more than two. Those were like the two main resources. And there was the Poly Weekly podcast was also, I discovered that a little bit after that, I think. But that was it.
Yeah.
Really.
I was on the apps before. So I was living in Seattle and then I was moving to the Cayman Islands. So I was dating just freely. Like I wasn't dating with the intention of relationship. And there was one guy who was in a poly relationship, or I think more E&M from understanding, but he had said he had recommended Sex at Dawn. And then I still haven't read it. But that was what he had recommended.
That's funny.
But I saw a lot of like what I didn't want. Right. And so like I had heard about all the horror stories of, oh, we opened a relationship up and then it blew our relationship up. So all I heard was that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And so why the fuck would I try something that everyone says doesn't work? I mean, it sounds fun in theory, but then it's like, I pick shitty people. What am I going to be in relationships with multiple shitty people?
Multiple shitty people?
That sounds exhausting. So I understand why I wasn't so maybe grateful that I didn't have, because I'm like such a different person. I've healed so much. Like I've worked with you and my therapist, right? And like I've read and I've taken these 2 years to myself to just like really understand, yeah, like time to have some like hard boundaries, learn how to fucking communicate, learn how to ask hard questions, stop swallowing the words and just like say the things. And so, you know, it all happens in due time. But trying to put what, I don't know the saying, put a round peg in a square hole. Is that how you say it?
Square peg in a round hole? Because the corners.
One. Yeah, gotcha.
They bump into the
totally. Forever. Like,
yeah.
When I was married to my ex-wife, there was this feeling of like cutting off half of myself, because like I wasn't a lesbian. Even though I identified as a lesbian, like my whole coming out story was quite traumatizing, and I was told I had to pick one for my parents to accept me.
We accept you. Pick a side.
Right. We don't believe in bi. So, and I was like, I'm dating a woman, I guess I'm a lesbian. But I wasn't, and I knew that I wasn't. And so, yeah, so when I married her, like I was like, I can never, again, like, and she's a lesbian. She was not a bi, like she's a lesbian. And I was like, never? That is a long
She's like, ew.
Totally.
Why would you want that?
Right. And so like I had to hide that part of myself, even though she knew that I had identified as bi, right? And so, yeah. And then anytime I was in like a relationship, a monogamous relationship, it just felt like with a man or a woman, like I was like, is this how it's going to be forever? Like I have to pick one? Like that doesn't sound.
This is
why am I bi if I have to pick? That's dumb.
It's like when people ask you things like, what's your favorite food or what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, I am queer and polyamorous. I can't pick a favorite.
Totally. And I'm like, what season? What country? Like I have so many questions.
Are we dining in or taking it out to go?
Right? Do I have to make it or can I go get it? Because that's going to fully change the equation. So yeah, same. Where it's like favorites, like we're adults. Yeah. Do we have favorites?
Yeah,
I don't know. Can't we just do whatever the fuck we want?
Yeah. You want to know what's funny? Someone looked at me the other day and they were like, oh, your favorite color is purple, because I have purple hair and I was wearing my purple boots and I have a purple house. And they're like, oh, your favorite color is purple. And I was like, actually, no, right. It's not. It's actually aqua, but I just don't want to burn myself out on it. So
smart. This all happened, as you can see, like there's like purple, literally everything. It's because my brand colors were purple. Before, my brand colors were red and black and white. So I wore a lot of red, and I had red lipstick, and I did all this. And then I rebranded. And so we did these softer colors, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I didn't want to have like bright red hair. So I was like, sure, we'll do lilac hair, smoky. So I need all of this shit for a branding shoot. And I was like, guess we're purpling it up over here.
Yes. I love that so much.
But it's not my favorite color. Like,
yeah.
I think black's probably my favorite color, but you can't have a house full of black.
I mean, you just need a lot of light then.
Yeah. People think you're like the
okay.
Addams
Okay, you were
Family.
talking about learning boundaries.
Yeah.
Learning boundaries and talking about boundaries. How's that going?
It's a process.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, I
mm-hmm.
really, so like what I've had to do over these last years was like really just like deconstruct, like, how the fuck did I get here again? Right? Like when I left my ex, when, those moments where you're just like both hands on the sink in the kitchen, just like crying of like, how the fuck did I get here again? I was 42, I think. And yeah, I'm like, here we go again. So it catapulted me into this like journey of like, if I'm going to, and like, I mean, this is what I had like asked my husband to do. Like, we're going to keep triggering each other. And so we can do this together and learn and grow, or we can break up and then do it with somebody else. And so that's what he chose to do. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing this again. Like, I have to do this work on my own. So I have to figure out my attachment shit. I have to figure out like, what do I like? What do I not like? What will I never put up with again? Like, and a lot of it too was like, not just like, what were the red flags that I missed? What were the red flags that I glaringly fucking saw and like tied them and made a little scarf with them?
I can wear this. It's a cute accessory.
It's cute. It used to be my brand colors. This goes with whatever. It's on brand. That was more of what it was, like, not what I missed, but there were just like, there were definitely nuances of like, oh, that, like, don't do that again. But it was like, when did I self-abandon? When did I not speak up? When, like, what boundaries did I lightly try to enforce? Right? Like,
yeah.
And also like another big thing too, and like what I realized, like, fitness is just a huge part of my life. I have been lifting weights and in the gym since I could drive. That's one of the reasons why I got a job, was that I could lift weights and pay for my gym membership. And so, but that was never like a value of mine when dating.
Right.
And so I never dated anybody who lifted weights, counted macros, did anything like that. And because I was told that other things were more important. And this goes for like lots of things. So like, oh, that's not, it's just really important of like how they treat you, or it's just more important of like if they have a good job, if they could provide for you, right? And so these things that, and like, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of dumb. Like, we don't have to have the same hobbies. We don't have to both work out, but like, it is such a big part of my life. And if I would have upheld that value and that boundary and been like, I don't date people who don't take care of their bodies. Like, I don't date people who don't have sporty habits or sporty activities, or I don't date people who just like sit on the couch on the weekends. Like, I want to be dating. If I would have upheld that one value, I would not have dated any of the people that I dated since I was fucking 14 years old.
Yep.
None of them. Maybe there's one. We would go to the gym together. One. From 14 to 42. And that was a big, like, shake shoulders. Like, and that's not even like a big, like I mean, that's not like a core, like, thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah. 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 It's like, it just speaks to compatibility, right?
Yes.
If you're spending 2 hours a day at the gym, and your partner wants you to go do something else that pulls you away from that, then you're not taking care of yourself in the way that
Right.
feels good for you,
Right.
because like you want to spend time together. And also, like it starts to detract in little ways until all of a sudden your life is very different.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, and 2 hours is conservative. I'm there for
Oh
a
man.
decent amount of time, right? But like, if you don't lift weights like the way that I do, like, you're not going to understand why it takes me that long,
Hmm.
right? And so, like, I dated somebody who thought I was cheating on him because I was at the gym for 3 hours, and I was like, if you fucking worked out, you'd know what I was doing,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
You would know.
right. And so then it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't work out so much, or like maybe I should like cut my workout in half because I don't want him to like not trust me, right? And so this is like this is me not having boundaries. This was me like not setting, like not speaking up and being like not having direct conversations of being like, what the fuck, dude? You think I'm cheating?
Uh-huh.
Like, we need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I
that's
was
a
just
you
finding
problem.
myself in the totally, but I was like, I was repeating. I have repeated the same relationship. It's just like more tattoos every time. Same person, more tattoos.
That just comes with age. That's amazing.
So it's just like
um
learning, like what do I value? What do I want this to look like? And then not just like what boundaries and values do I have, but like I need to actually be able to articulate them. And then
uh-huh.
what do I do when that boundary is crossed? What do I do when they don't meet that value or that requirement of mine? Like, then what? Because that's where it was like, well,
Hmm.
look at those ripples.
I think a lot of people like think that their boundaries are supposed to be negotiable,
I mean, I
and
was
they're not.
raised. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't get to have boundaries when I was a kid.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I grew up in a toxic home. I was not allowed to have like my autonomy and boundaries. Like, I was not allowed to have that.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
obviously, this is where I ended up.
Clearly, love means I
Right.
just do whatever
Right.
you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. I feel like that's super relatable
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
probably a lot of people listening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, as you're like figuring all of this out, how is that? How's dating going? Dead.
It's going. So when I left when I separated from my husband, like, I was not like in the at all space to date. So I didn't date
Yeah.
for, interestingly enough, like, I met somebody on the anniversary that I had left my ex, and I was like, it's a sign. So I just need people to come and slap me when I say shit like that. Like, it was not a sign; it was just a coincidence. There's no signs. Anyway, so it was a year. So it was a full year before I was like, and I met him on the apps. I met him on Field, and I was like, well, like, we'll just see what happens, right? Um, had no, and this is when I hired you, because I was like, I should have hired you before I met him, but I didn't know what was going to transpire. But I definitely hired you after the aftermath, because I was like, what
Mhm.
the fuck? So
What
like,
is happening right now?
I had no idea. Like, Apparently, like, people don't have, I mean, how do I want to say it? Apparently I've been quite kinky for some time and I just had no idea. I was like, I just thought that's how people had sex.
You're so cute.
And so like it's been like I've learned through this process that like, oh, so you're supposed to ask permission to do that, or you're supposed to, right? Like peeing on somebody in the shower. Like I did something on Facebook and I was like, when you're in the shower, do like you pee on their leg? And they're like, oh, that needs to be discussed. Like that's like I was like, it does? I think it's just funny. Just stare them in the eyes and pee on their leg.
Oh.
It was very enlightening of like, there's rules apparently
Yeah.
for kink. Didn't know. So I was like thrust into the kink and BDSM community and was like, a whole new world. Like the curtains opened and I was like, what have I been missing? Like this whole time. I was so upset that this whole time.
Disneyland.
I know. And so was introduced to yeah, like dom sub dynamics and that sort of thing, and didn't realize like the safety, like emotional, mental, physical safety that was involved. Didn't realize, about like aftercare and consent and limits and like getting all of this information ahead of time, which is so fun. It's so hot to have those conversations.
Uh-huh.
It's like, whew, like you build up to it, right? And so, yeah, I
That's
didn't know
foreplay.
about, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just like a whole different way of doing this opened up. And so, yeah, I had a bit of a bad experience with um, a self-proclaimed soft dom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very lucky that I was not like hurt or injured. I was just, had some sub drop issues I needed to deal with, which is when I came to you of
Mm-hmm.
understanding like that, the dynamic and the, like, am I going crazy? Like what is happening here? And just like you were explaining, like, this is totally normal. And,
Yeah.
here are books, here's information. And so like, the more I read, I was like, man, I really could have gotten myself into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So for everyone that's listening, if you have not experienced negotiating your dynamics,
Yeah.
if you're just like, I don't know, fucking someone who's like, and now they're just going to start choking you, or now they're just going to tell you have to do what they want. Like that's not how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to actually negotiate and talk about what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. And do you need a safe word, or is like a red light, green light system going to work? Also, your emotions are going to get tied up. Even if this is just a sexy thing, your brain is going to dump all of the hormones that it dumps when you're falling in love, because that's
Yeah.
just how brains and bodies work. And so you're going to have all the feels, even if it's being created because of this structure, because of this play.
Right.
And so like, I feel like people they don't know that. And
Mhm.
even just knowing that is like,
I'm still learning that
oh.
lesson. It takes me a little bit. I'm a slow learner.
Oh, we all are. We all are.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe third time's the charm. I'll get it next time. But I took another break. Like I had like a 9-month break, and I'm hiring you again, so that didn't end well.
Or it went really well because now
perfect.
You get to learn all the things.
Right. So like each one is like, this is a growth experience. Like I've learned so much about myself, and like, this is what I want. So like, I feel like I am getting closer to what, to understanding what I want. Like, I don't want just a one night stand, or like, I want intimacy. Like I want, when I learned about like nesting partners, I was like, that sounds fucking awful. I want to live by myself. Like, I don't
Yeah.
come over, hang out, like we'll have dinner and then leave because I love my space, right? Um, so now I have like more of a vocabulary of like solo poly and relationship anarchy, and like let's design this relationship, which is going to require such a high level of um, emotional awareness and maturity, but
Yeah.
also just like honesty and full transparency and all of these things that I have not been able to access in my previous relationships. Like, it, I've just gone with the flow. I am not a go with the flow person. Like, when I go with the flow, it's like there's so
But
much
it's okay.
chaos
Maybe I'm too much.
inside. Totally. Totally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I've really had to work with that, and that's one thing that you and I worked on before, right? Was just like
Yeah.
unhooking from the spiral. And I have fearful avoidant attachment tendencies, so like I feel the shifts in the energy. I'm like a
Yeah.
squirrel in traffic on the inside and like full of anxiety. But on the
Mm-hmm.
outside, I'm cool and calm and like, fuck this guy. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
really trying. But at least I don't do
So
all the
relatable.
crazy shit that I used to do. Like, at least I'm not calling like 100 times. Like, I've moved past that. But now, like, I've moved into like the avoidant piece where it's like, match their energy. So like I'm really working through a lot of like, no, I don't match their energy. I ask direct questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I might match their energy for a little bit and be like, hold on. We're not doing that
Yeah.
anymore.
When you catch
We're
yourself,
gonna
right? You do it a little bit and then you're like, wait a minute.
totally.
Okay. So here's what's going on. Here's what I want to know.
Right.
And the
I was
sooner
just
we
talking to
figure
a
out if you're going to
friend.
be okay with that.
Right. Like, what would a securely attached person do? Like getting it, like the initials on my wrist. What would a securely, because it is the opposite always of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that lens, like, how would a fucking,
W
yeah.
S A D.
Uh-huh.
How do you? What would securely attached
Person do.
do? Yeah.
PD. Yeah. Just like, yeah.
Oh
I'd
yeah.
probably forget it was there.
I just see it every day. I just ignore it now.
Right. Yeah, but it's just like speaking up, because like even if I know that, and like this is what I did in the last situation that I was in, like 9 months ago, was like, I know what's happening, when someone starts pulling away, right? Like I pretty much know like how this is going to end. But if I don't speak up directly and I just kind of like let them breadcrumb me,
Mhm.
I am self-abandoning, because like
Yeah.
I want to know what the fuck is happening. Have your feelings changed? What's going on here? And if I don't ask that question, then I am doing the old shit that I used to do, and I'm not growing. So even
Mhm.
though I know I'm probably going to get ghosted, even though I know that this is going to probably go this way, unless this person fully surprises me and comes back with more direct conversation, but I still have to ask that question to signal to myself and to the fucking universe, like, stop doing this to me.
Uh-huh.
Stop sending me these people. But the more that I do this, right, like I'm just sending the message to myself that like I can be direct, I can have hard conversations, I'm ready for anything that comes my way, I can handle this.
Yeah.
Like, we're trying to move into this secure. So like, do I want to stay fearful, avoid it, or do I want to move into like an earned, secured attachment? Yes, we're doing that one. So we're going to ask the fucking question, even though I know what's probably going to come.
I mean, it's funny. I feel like we all, especially people socialized as women, like you're not supposed to ask what their feelings are. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to ask what is this or what's going on,
Too
because
much shame.
then you'll be pushing them away or they'll disappear. And I'm like, well, if they can't handle that, fucking goodbye. If that's not a conversation they want to have, let's cut this a little sooner then.
Don't think that like that also isn't happening in here of like, I shouldn't have said it because then like I pushed him away but it's like, if you can't
I
like,
could have maintained that for 5 more days.
totally. This is like a level 1 of hard. I'm quite complicated. I've got lots of shit, right? Like, so if you can't handle my level 1, you are just gonna not be able to manage my level 10 that will eventually come out. Yeah.
Yes.
And so like I just have to keep like anytime it happens, it's like, sure, like I could have self-abandoned and we could have prolonged whatever. And then 5 months in, I could be ghosted or I could be dealing with more feelings, compounded, blah, blah, whatever. Like, let's fucking get this over with. So, like, one way that, I don't know, this is kind of a kink of mine. I feel like is like, how soon can I talk about my feelings to see if they're gonna handle this?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna wonder what they're gonna do here. Oh, they went away. Huh. No.
Oh, well.
That was fun.
Guess they weren't tough enough.
Yeah, right? Because I've got a lot of feel, but like also like one thing that I've been thinking about too is like, a lot of people want to have the like spanky, slappy, choky sex, but they don't want to have the conversations that you have to have in order to have that kind of sex.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk about it. That makes it weird.
Right.
No.
But like,
no, that makes it hot.
Totally. But also like not just like about like the limits and stuff like that, but like if you can't handle a direct conversation about your feelings, like imagine if I'm in a sub drop or if I'm in this like freak out, you're not going to be able to hold me through that. Or if we go to a club and something happens and I'm activated or whatever, you're clearly not going to be able to manage and hold me. And so that has been my pattern of I self-abandon, I don't speak up, I don't ask for what I want. And so surprise, surprise, I'm dating or all of a sudden fucking married to somebody who can't hold me.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So I brag that, I mean, I get this over with within like 3 to 4 weeks versus like 5 years down the road.
Yes.
So I sped the process up. I'm so proud.
That is amazing. That is, I want that for everyone, literally. Like everyone, whether you're like dating one person or 20 people, like everyone should be able to do that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's, but back to your, I mean, that was like a long, like back to your question of how is dating going. So I live in Italy. So that like just like compounds all of this where poly isn't a big conversation, where cheating is like really normalized.
Yeah.
And just like, swept under the rug. Language barrier problems. So, there's just like, it's difficult.
Yeah.
As I'm just like also figuring out. Yeah. Yeah. Lots of like man, woman language barrier, like Italian, English language barrier, just like different customs and dating culture and that sort of thing. So, it's been interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you gotten any? No, go ahead.
Well, I was saying, so like I still have yet to date multiple people at one time.
Yeah.
Because they leave within the first month, right? Like they just like, it just like doesn't work out. And so like I have yet to experience dating multiple people. I did it back in 2013. And when I did it, like everybody knew about each other. Like I was like, I'm going out with so-and-so. Oh, I live with so-and-so, right? So they all knew about each other. And it was the like most honest I've ever been in a
Yeah.
relationship. I
It
was
feels
like,
so
this
good.
tits, this is so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels so good.
I don't think
Absolutely.
they might have liked it. I think that they were just kind of like going along with it, but I was loving it. I was like, this is rad.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a little bit of both. I feel like I've had a little bit of both. And I don't know. I feel like our like the monogamous culture is like you should never do anything that makes a partner, someone you're dating uncomfortable ever at all. Just be whatever they want. It's kind of how what we're taught,
Yeah.
right? And so to go, this is what I want. This is how I'm operating. I'm being open and honest and happy to reassure you, but like your feelings are yours. And I'm not going to like change who I am to make you feel comfortable. Is something that like the conditioning that is selfish or wrong is something that we have to like actively work to get over.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why should I, versus like, that is how you want to date and how you want to be in a relationship with somebody. This is how I date and how I want to be. We're not compatible. So
Yep.
thank you for the coffee.
Yep.
And I'll see you later. Yeah. So
Yeah.
also like learning of like, what questions do I need to ask while we're on the app? And then
Yeah.
during the first date, like, what do I need? Like, and I'm literally going to come with a list because that's just, I'm a Virgo, a
I love
neurodivergent
that about
Virgo.
you.
So we're going to have a whole fucking list.
You're like, I have a spreadsheet with a tab with
I
your
mean, I
name on
do.
it.
There's like bullet points with like where I could enter their answer. Can you please speak into the, I just want to do a voice to text. Can you speak
Yeah.
into the phone?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, one of the guys I was dating, he's like, this just feels like an interview. And I was like, well, I mean, I
It
am
is.
kind of interviewing you
It's
for
an
the
interview
position.
for the job of getting between
Totally.
these legs.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
You must
Because
meet
before
these
I'd let any
requirements.
fool off the street, like, oh, you're hired.
Pretty sure you're qualified.
Totally.
You're wearing all that red. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So it'll be interesting when I do have the opportunity to date multiple people, and I just don't yeah, it poly and E&M. I feel like it's just like yeah.
Okay,
But
yes, especially on dating apps, especially people who are like looking for some form of non-monogamy and are not like already established as polyamorous. Most of them are like, yes, that sounds awesome right now because I'm horny. But
totally.
if my heart gets involved and I become emotionally invested in you, then maybe not so much. That's
Mhm.
so common. Like
Mhm.
I'm into this until I'm not.
Right, right. I'm like, hold on. Like, we get to like, but we can talk about what this could look
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
right? And then, but we never get to that point.
Yeah. Yep. Have you I'm curious, using dating apps and stuff and talking to people and telling them you're non-monogamous and you know, like what the where you're at in your journey, like have you gotten any like really inappropriate or awkward or weird responses?
Of course. I mean, because looking for a unicorn, right? Just,
Mhm.
I've considered, like, I've talked to couples, like, I've considered coming in, but I really vet. I'm like, I'll be
Yeah.
someone's girlfriend. Like, but again, like, I'm not looking, like, if there's no like emotional connection, it's not going to happen. Like, I have to
Yeah.
like you. Like, we need to, so like, let's go do things. Let's like, what do we have in common? Right. And they just, like, I don't drink. I've been sober for almost 11 years. So that also changes the equation. We're not going to go
Uh-huh.
have some wine and like get loosey goosey. There's no loosey anything. I'm like, fucking
Let's go work out and get some endorphins.
totally.
Listen, I'll race you 20 miles on my bike and then I'll be loose.
Right? And like I feel like their whole thing is like, yeah, let's meet up, have some drinks, and like we'll just like go back home. And it's like, no, like let's go on a hike, like let's go do things together and build like some sort of rapport. And then like this could be an ongoing thing, but that's going to take communication and honesty and like what are you looking for, like. And so none of the couple things have worked out because it's like I didn't like the dynamic that they had. I don't want to go into somebody's relationship and blow it up, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't want to be the reason, you know. And then if somebody's looking, I was like, if somebody is looking for a unicorn, please let the woman run the account. Because he will ruin it every fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happened. And I'm like, I'm just more interested in your girl. Like, can you make her the admin of the account? Because like I really want to get to know her. I don't. And of course, like he'll say some shit, and I'm like, this is dumb.
Never mind.
I'm good. Yeah, so like they're, you know, they're not they're on rocky ground, like they're bringing someone in for like the wrong reasons, or like I don't like the dynamic of like what they're presenting, or yeah, just like I find more out about, I mean, it's just like learning about somebody and being like, I actually don't like you as a person. So
Yeah. God, so often. Oh man, this would have been great if you just would have kept quiet and I could have continued thinking you were who I thought you were.
Totally. But also thank you for insulting me, because we're done here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I wish more people would, especially who are talking to couples, would listen to their gut on those things, and they could avoid some of the drama and pain that is often associated with unicorn hunting.
I'm sure they're like, this bitch just keeps asking so many questions.
What does she want to marry us?
Totally. I'm like, so tell me what you're looking for. Tell me like what happens if one of you gets jealous? What happens? Like, I want to have all of these and they're like, you're only coming over for a night. Why are you asking us all this stuff? So it's just a good reminder of like, I'm actually not coming over for a night. Like I'm totally down to be in like a throuple or like in a, right, like in a different situation, but I'm not your unicorn.
Yeah. Good. Well, okay. This is gonna be a random question. What music do you listen to on before a date?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it depends.
You don't have like pre-date playlists?
No, should I?
I do.
Huh.
Oh shit. Now I'm gonna have to share a pre-date playlist.
Yeah. No, like I'm trying to think of the dates that I've been on recently and what I was listening to. I don't know. I listen to a lot of electronic music. But then I also have like a playlist of like stuff that I listened to when I was like a kid in like the 90s. I have like a calm and like a meditative one. I don't know. And I have, Ani DeFranco.
Just depends. Yeah, there you go. Depends on the mood.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to share?
I don't think so. Put me on the spot. I can't think of anything.
I know. I've got another one for you in a minute. But so I have to tell people how we know each other because Shannon has been my business coach. I have been her non-monogamy coach, and she has been my business coach. And
Uh-huh.
I fucking adore you so much.
Same, same, same.
Oh, if okay, I have a question for you that doesn't go on the main episode. That
Okay.
is for the supporters of the show at patreon.com/notmonogamous. Go check it out because then you'll get to hear all of the extra stuff. But so the question
Ooh.
is, what is your favorite or best sex tip? Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. This is my favorite part of doing this show.
Awesome.
If people are maybe looking for a business coach,
Mm,
how can they find you?
yeah. So I have my own podcast. It drops on August 26th. So it's called the Anti-Hustle
Yay!
Business Podcast. I am on Instagram at the Shannon Whaley. I have a Facebook group called the Anti-Hustle Business. Wait, what's it called? Anti-Hustle Business Coaching with Shannon Whaley. Pretty simple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, all
Who
the
am I?
places. What's my
Amazing.
group name? But yeah, so you can just find me. You just either through the podcast and then um, antihustlebiz.com. You get all the information there.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm so happy you asked. Finally.
Several years later. That's it for today, folks. I hope this one gives you a little bit of inspiration to explore more deeply or try something new in your non-monogamous journey. If you missed Shannon's sex tip or just the tip, be sure to head over to patreon.com/notmonogamous to become a supporter of the show. Become one of my friends with benefits. There, you're going to get exclusive access to bonus tips, behind the scenes content, so much more. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.